Hello again, everybody. Psychotek is here with my TNA Impact Wrestling review for tonight, Thursday, March 29, 2012. Let me say this. This week's Impact was a tad bit better than last week's Impact. A lot more wrestling tonight. There was one little count-out thing that I fully predicted on this past attack line. And besides that, kind of a better Impact. They focused a little bit more on wrestling tonight. A little bit more. With a few little segments in a music video. Of course, Hogan's decision, which I'll get to in a moment. But at least, bottom line was, better Impact than last week. A lot better. Let's keep it up. Especially with Mania Sunday. At least it kind of stepped their game up a little bit tonight. Our first segment from the beginning, starting with Bobby Roode. Yes, Bobby Roode was in the building. Last week had his little lawyer coming out and getting super kicked by James Storm. This week, Bobby Roode's in the building with a bunch of security because Bobby Roode wants no part of James Storm heading towards lockdown. That's what he said on the mic. He says, an unsafe work environment because of Storm. I want to focus more on this one commitment, my match against him at lockdown. He says, security's not for me, Storm. It's for you. For you. To get away, not being able. And all of a sudden, to touch me, and here we go. Storm comes out, calling out Bobby, wants another chance at a fight with him. And then when he tries to get involved, here comes Bully Ray getting involved. Security picks them all up. And Storm, like he did last week, willing to take on two guys at one time when he took on Kaz and Daniels. This week, Storm wanted Bully Ray and Bobby Roode in a handicap match. He got it, but he got a little help later on. Austin Aries came out a little later on in the show talking about Bully Ray attacked him last week, ruining the X Division Fatal 4-Way match, and got Aries a little angry. So Aries ended up volunteering to team up with Storm against Bully Ray and Bobby Roode in our main event tonight. I smell a face turn. With that out of the way, all in our first match, which was Madison Rayne taking on Velvet. Now, Gail Kim and Madison had their little problems. Before the match, we saw a little backstage segment of Gail Kim giving Madison Rayne the crown on a little tiara, making her the queen of the knockouts. So Madison and Gail kissing and make up, and Madison with her crown back, and gave Madison a lot more incentive to take on Velvet Sky, try to eliminate competition for Gail's knockouts title. I've said this a lot. I sound like a broken record when I say this, but the knockouts have been better than the WWE Divas. For one thing, they don't depend on celebrities. Well, they have in the past with knockout people fighting against Jersey Shore people like JWoww's been in the company, Angelina. But they haven't been on celebrities lately. Ain't that right, WWE? So anyway, with this match, Velvet Madison, they did what they always let the knockouts do. Wrestle. It was a decent wrestling match for what it was. Madison had a little bit of the advantage. But then Velvet took control. Ending it with the in-your-face, or as I call it, the girl version of the pedigree. 1, 2, 3. Velvet gets the victory in an okay, decent matchup with Madison. I'm happy they let the girls fight. They let the girls really wrestle. And after the match, Christy Hammy, who was in the crowd introducing the knockouts, she came up to Velvet, congratulating her on the victory. And Velvet's like, I want Gail. Of course, Gail Kim did defeat Madison Ray. Not Madison Ray. Gail defeated Velvet Sky for the Knockouts title back at TNA's Genesis pay-per-view. Or was it Final Resolution? I'm confused. They made them so different months. But Velvet hasn't had a proper rematch. So Velvet's like, Gail, you're on my radar. So I will not be surprised if they make a Velvet Sky Gail Kim match at Lockdown. Speaking of people that I think will face at Lockdown, that leads to our next match, which was Crimson against Matt Morgan. Now, I predicted on my attack line today when I made my TNA preview, I predicted fully that there be something stupid, like a disqualification, or a count out, or something to set up a pre-match at Lockdown. Well, as with all my wrestling predictions, I'm right. Matt Morgan and Crimson fought through a double countdown. But until then, it was a decent match. And Morgan had control. And Crimson tried to fight back. But Morgan was mostly in control most of the match. The ending came when they did fall outside the ring for a little bit. But then it came back in. And Morgan was about to set up. I think he was ready to give him the common footprint. Give him a little spiel. And then he was ready to set up the footprint. But they both went outside and fought outside. And I was like, I smell a double count out. Ding, ding, ding. Like I said, I predicted it fully. There was something stupid like a DQ or a double count out. Set up a rematch at Lockdown. So that's what I'm predicting. Matt Morgan and Crimson at Lockdown. And you can tell they're not done. After the double count, they kept fighting onto the back outside the impact zone. We didn't get a camera out there to see them fight outside. But still, they're not done yet. I smell Lockdown. Speaking of Lockdown matches, I'm like the king of segues tonight. On our next match, which had some knockdown implications, as Jeff Hardy took on Ken Anderson. Before I get to that, we had this whole continuing saga with Joseph Parks, the alleged brother of Abyss, trying to look for Abyss, who's been missing for months. That's a little segment there. And before Magnus and Morgan, Crimson and Morgan, that's when we had Austin Aries coming up volunteering for the main event tonight with Storm. So I won a match. Candice and Jeff Hardy. And if Jeff Hardy would have won, he would have got a rematch against Kurt Angle at Lockdown. So this match was a decent matchup for what it was. You know, back and forth. Anderson was trying to fight here. And Hardy, in the last couple minutes, Hardy was really on fire. He was ready to twist the fade. He was ready to dominate on Anderson. He was ready to get the victory. However, and I also predicted this. I said to the screen, Angle's going to come out and interfere when Anderson knocked Hardy outside. Hardy was outside the ring. I said, Angle interfere. 5, 4, 3, 2, boom. Here comes Angle with a low blow on Hardy. Referee got distracted. Angle nailed Hardy back in the ring. Hardy got a mic check from Anderson. 1, 2, 3. Mr. Anderson gets the victory. Thanks for a little help from Kurt Angle. Of course, Kurt Angle screwing Jeff Hardy out of a rematch at Lockdown. But I say it ain't over. I bet you Hardy will probably still beg for a rematch. Of course, Angle trying to put off these wall blocks against Hardy, trying to prevent him from getting a rematch. That's why he had to do what he did tonight to interfere in the match against Anderson and Hardy to prevent Hardy from facing Angle at Lockdown. But I smell the match will happen. They're trying to build it up and make Hardy a little angry. So we'll probably see another situation of Hardy and Angle next week. And we're probably going to see Hardy get his way and get a rematch against Angle at Lockdown. Just a little build up to get that rematch to happen. So there you go. That's my prediction on that. Anderson getting the victory. We also had a silly segment involving ODB and Eric Young playing a little wedding, which will be April 12th, a couple days before Lockdown. The wedding will be held in a steel cage. Cuckoo. Do not need to say anything about the Knockouts Tag Champions. Still, I have to say that. We started some segments tonight, but still, at least the wrestling kind of made up for it tonight. Unlike last week, I keep mentioning that. After a James Storm music video, we went on to a little segment involving Eric Bischoff. Of course, the Eric Bischoff-Garrett Bischoff feud still going on. Garrett's been, of course, going through every obstacle, beating Gunner numerous times, and having to go through Gunner. And he's got the one little challenge with Gunner. He's been, speaking of Lockdown, it's been official. Garrett Bischoff will face off against Gunner at Lockdown. Can he just be the sheriff of his dad already, please? We've been building this feud up for months. Can you just have the Garrett Bischoff versus Eric Bischoff match? Just get this feud over with, please. Just end it, please. We all been wanting the Garrett Bischoff, Eric Bischoff beatdown for weeks and months, but they're still having to make Garrett wrestle Gunner. It's like, come on, this feud's getting old. You know what I mean? At least Storm and Rude's getting interesting, which, well, I'll get to the main event, but this feud with the Bischoffs, it's getting old, and it's getting stale quick. Like Hogan. Anyway, so that's official. Garrett and Gunner at Lockdown in the steel cage with that confrontation with Garrett, not being afraid, shoving a mic in his dad's face. So this whole thing should hopefully come to an end. In some way, shape, or form, this whole Garrett Bischoff, Eric Bischoff thing will come to an end at Lockdown, no matter who wins, Gunner or Garrett at Lockdown. Speaking of the Lockdown situation, Bobby Roode and James Storm were ready to try to get their hands on each other in a knockout in a main event tonight tag team match. It was Billy Ray and Bobby Roode trying to get they were like on again, off again, trying to get their differences aside against Austin Aries and James Storm in a tag team main event tonight. Now, Austin Aries fought the majority of this fight, and I'm glad to give the Austin Aries a chance to be in the main event. They gave him a main event shot a few weeks ago in a 6-man tag with Bully Ray and Bobby Roode, so it's odd to see him against him this week, and I'm smelling a face turn. And Austin Aries was actually pretty impressive tonight. You know, I've grown to be an Austin Aries fan. You know, when he was in TNA a few years ago, I kind of liked him. When he came back earlier last year, like I said, I said on this show, I said on my reviews, I'm not the biggest Austin Aries fan. I was kind of a fan. I'm starting to be a little bit of a big fan of his. I met him at the TNA house show. Of course, I mentioned that in my review of that when I went to Soy Ingo a few months ago. And Austin did a drop kick off the top on Bully Ray. That was awesome to see. He wrestled very well against him and Bobby Roode. But Bobby Roode was avoiding James Storm like the plague tonight. Every time James Storm got in, Roode ran like a pansy. And even when James Storm dragged Bobby Roode in, he was finally going to get his hands on Roode. Bully Ray came in and saved his ass. And Storm, the ending came in, Storm was ready to beat the crap out of Bully Ray. It was lining up for the last call super kick. But Bobby Roode grabbed James Storm's beer. He was attempting to spit in the eyes of James Storm. But the plan backfired. Storm ducked, and Roode spat in the eyes of Bully Ray, causing Bully Ray to get the super kick from Storm. 1, 2, 3. Storm and Aries gets the victory. As for Bully Ray and Aries will fight in a one-on-one match, I don't think they're going to fight at Lockdown, because I think Aries is going to focus more on defending his title. But we'll see what happens. But Austin Aries, very impressive in this match tonight. Storm fought very little again tonight. Like he did last week, he only fought for like 30 seconds. Last week in his match against Kaz and Daniels, he only fought for like 2 minutes. Like I said, they're trying to preserve Storm for Lockdown. So there you go. Same with Roode. Trying to make him uninjured. Because they don't want anything to happen to their Lockdown main event. So there you go. On to our last segment, which is a whole Hulk Hogan thing. Earlier in the broadcast, we saw Dixie Carter conducting an interview with Hulk Hogan at the Universal Studio grounds. Dixie's like, Hogan, I know like you were bad. Like, of course, Hogan was with the whole Bischoff, the immortal thing, and treated Dixie like crap. And now Hogan's now good again, according to Sting, after Battle for Glory this past year in Philadelphia, when Sting defeated Hulk Hogan, and Hogan turned face and went back to being real, as Sting would say. And Hogan was still trying to contemplate. He was trying to make peace with everything and trying to avoid being in charge again and being in charge of the big gravy train again. But Hogan said it was going to be at Impact tonight. And the decision was made by Hulk. Hulk said to Dixie, man, I hear but TNA's in a dark cloud with the whole Bobby Roode situation. I don't know if I can get you out of it. And I'm done with this. I stayed away from wrestling after Battle for Glory. I'm going to stay away. And at that moment, here comes Sting and his brigade with AJ Styles and all the good guy people, Mr. Anderson, Diva, all these other guys trying to cheer on Hogan and trying to make him join the bandwagon. And Hogan's like, Sting, before I made his decision, I want to make sure you have my back. Well, Sting will. He signed a new contract today. So, that's according to Dixie on Twitter. So after Sting declared that Hogan will have his back no matter, that he'll have Hogan's back no matter what, Hogan made his decision. He is the new general manager of Impact. See how that fails out, you know, if it's screwy again. But with Russo out of the picture, who knows what will happen with a Hulk Hogan clear of Eric Bischoff and Russo writing the shit. So anyway, let's see what happens to this Hulk Hogan general manager storyline. Now he's cleared his head and got rid of all the bad people. Get rid of all the bad influences. Will it be a good Hulk Hogan or bad Hulk Hogan? But all signs are saying a good and real Hulk Hogan will emerge. We'll see what happens under the Hulk Hogan era starting next week, which will see the return of the Motor City Machine Guns. Last week we saw a video about their return coming soon. Yesterday on Twitter, Dixie declared that she got Chris Sabin's release, medical clearance, and now Motor City Machine Guns are announced to return next week. They're gonna get a big boot in the ass in the tag team division with Crimson and Morgan broken up. And Magnus and Joe having no competition, the Motor City Machine Guns are gonna give Magnus and Joe great competition. I smell a great couple matches from them, and I've been a big fan of Motor City Machine Guns. Not just because they're from Michigan like me, but they're also a great tag team. But I think they should also do some X Division solo as well, not just tag team. But we'll see how that fails out when they return next week on Impact. But like I said, and all better Impact than last week. Couple segments, like I said, but you know what? OK Wrestling make up for it. Let's see if TNA can keep this up as they head towards Lockdown on April 15th. That's it for my TNA Impact review. I'll see everybody later. Thank you all very much for watching. With that in mind, y'all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. See you all later. Yeah.